evening everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 30th of December. My name is Anuj and I will be taking today's session. In today's session, we will be covering 5 main news, then 8 quick updates, and in between we will be covering personality in news. In main news, the first main news is regarding the groundwater, as Ministry of Jal Shakti has released its dynamic groundwater resource assessment report for 2025. Then we will be learning about INSV Kaundinya, which has begun its journey to Oman. Then in the third main news, we will be covering about NBFCs, as RBI has initiated review of scale-based regulation for NBFCs. Then in the fourth main news, we will be covering about Australia's economic cooperation and trade agreement, as it has completed 3 years. And in the last main news, we will be covering about Defense Ministry, which has cleared weapons purchase worth 79,000 crores. Then we will be briefly covering quick updates, and then personality in news for today is Srimanta Sankardev. So this is the brief of today's session. Let us begin with the discussion of the first news. So what is the first news? The first news is that the Ministry of Jal Shakti releases dynamic groundwater resource assessment report of 2025. In this news, we will be learning about key facts of the groundwaters and what are the various highlights which have been given in this report, and we will be briefly learning about water table and other related aspects. It is related to GS paper 3, where syllabus talks about conservation, environmental pollution and degradation. So let us begin the discussion of this news. First of all, the development. The assessment was jointly carried out by the Central Groundwater Board and states and the UTs. So this is the assessment which have been carried out by Central Groundwater Board and the states and the UTs. So basically there are 3 bodies which deal with water. One is Central Groundwater Board, then second is Central Water Commission, and third one is Central Pollution Control Board. Basically, Central Groundwater Board monitors the groundwater, and Central Water Commission basically provides the scientific details. Then Central Pollution Control Board is under the Water Act of 1974 to control the pollution. So these are the basic board which are related to water. Then coming to the groundwater. What is groundwater and why it is so significant? First of all, India is the largest usage of the groundwater. India uses the largest of the groundwater, and 87% of that groundwater is utilized by agriculture. 87% by agriculture and 11% by domestic usage. As you are aware that we are dependent on agriculture, so it provides a valuable input for the agriculture. Now coming to water at the ground, in the ground. Suppose you start digging, and at one place when there will be water, at that place it will be known as water table. Below that, the soil will be saturated with the water. Think it like that you have a sponge which have a lot of water, and you can take out water from that. Here there is saturated soil with the water, and above it is unsaturated soil. So these are the key facts related to the groundwater. Now let us look into the various findings which are given in this report. First of all, it has talked about annual groundwater recharge. Okay, so which have increased marginally from 448 million cubic meters to 446 million cubic meter. The comparison here is from the last year. Then what is the annual extractable groundwater resource in India? That have increased marginally to 407.75 billion cubic meters, and it has been increased from 2024 data. In that, in India, we have extracted around 247.22. So these are some facts which are given in this report, and total extracted water is around 60%. So these are the findings. Now there are some findings as well regarding where we are over-exploiting, where the groundwater exploitation is under the condition of critical and semi-critical. Before learning that, let us understand what are the meaning of overexploited, critical, semi-critical and safe, which have been used in this report. First of all, overexploited. As it is clear from the word, overexploited means that groundwater extraction has exceeded the annual replacement groundwater recharge. So in those areas, we have taken out water more than which were given to that area. Then there is critical. Here the groundwater extraction is about 90 to 100%. Here it was more than 100%. Here it is in critical areas, it is 90 to 100%. Then in semi-critical areas, the groundwater extraction is between 70 to 90%. And at last, there is one more category that is safe, that is below the 70%. So these are the terms which are used in this report, and they have defined based on the groundwater extraction. Now let us look at the various areas which are there in overexploited, critical, semi-critical and in the safe zone. So they have found out that in the assessment areas, which is around 6,746 assessment unit. In these units, 70% assessment unit, to be precise, 73% assessment unit are under the category of safe. That means they have extracted the water below 70%. Then 10.5 assessment unit are semi-critical. That means their extraction is about 70 to 90%. Then around 3% of assessment unit are under critical, and here extraction is about 90 to 100%. Then they have talked about overexploited regions as well, and those regions are 11.1 areas or the assessment unit, and in these areas the extraction is more than 100%. And what are these regions specifically? These regions are mostly in the northwest, which includes the areas of Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and western UP. Then there are areas in Rajasthan and Gujarat, and in South India the regions which are falling are under the states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Most of the overexploitation is due to agriculture usage. Okay, they have also talked that in 1.8% of assessment units, there is increase in the salinity of the water. So these are the facts which can be used if there is a question about overexploitation of groundwater in India. Now let us look at the PYQ which are related to this news. First of all, the PYQ is from 2013 prelims examination, and the question is that on the planet Earth, most of the fresh water exit as ice caps and glacier. Out of the remaining fresh water, the large portion, option A, is found in the atmosphere, option B is found in the freshwater lakes and rivers, option 3 exists as groundwater, and option 4 exists as soil moisture. You might be aware that around 97% of water which is there on the globe is not usable, and only 3% of water is fresh water. And in those 3% of water, the largest water is there in the ice caps and glacier, which is given in the question. It is asking about the second most area where there is fresh water. And the answer for that is, it exists as groundwater. This is the question from 2013 prelims examination. Then there is one mains PYQ as well. The question is that suggest measures to improve water storage and irrigation system to make its judicious use under the depleting scenario. When you will be writing the introduction of this question, you can use the data which we have studied in this news. Okay, so that's why this question I have kept it here. So with this, we have completed the first news for today. Now let us discuss the second news. Second news is very interesting and it is related to Indian culture. And what is the news? The news is that INSV Kaundinya has begins its journey to Oman, and it has begun its journey from Gujarat. Okay. In this news, we will be covering about Tankia methods. We will be learning about this ship. So let us discuss this news. First of all, the development. We have already discussed the context. Here the development is the Navy is pioneering stitching sailing vessel built using the traditional technique. And what is the name of that traditional technique? The name of that traditional technique is Tankai method. We will be learning about this method in the later slides, but for here, it was built by using the Tankai method, and it is believed to back of 5th century. So this method is there from the 5th century, and this name INS Kaundinya is based on the name of a ship after the Kaundinya, who was a sailor, and he used to sail ships from India to Southeast Asia. So on his name, we have named this ship. Basically, the shipping has a very much significance in our history. You can find Harappan stamps and other Harappan sports that can be found in Mesopotamia. Then there is Magad Navy, which is the first navy which has been written in the history. Even the Arthashastra also talked about in navy. Then we have Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who was built Vijayadurg for protection and for providing naval forces. Okay, and then we have Chelas, Choras, Pallavas, who were very good at the shipping industries. So that's why, to bringing the tradition and to evaluation or the evolution of this tradition, we have built this INSV Kaundinya. So let us learn about this ship. First of all, it is modeled on the ship depicted in the Ajanta caves painting. Ajanta caves painting are very important for UPSC examination, both for prelims as well as for mains examination. Please learn about Ajanta's cave, Ellora caves in detail. What are the paintings which are there, what kind of depiction is there. Most of the painting in the Ajanta caves are related to Buddhism. It might be of dying princes, it might be of the Persian embassy who is receiving the Chalukyan king Pulkesin II. So there are many paintings in Ajanta. Okay. And it is built under a tripartite agreement which is there between Ministry of Culture, Indian Navy and Hodi Innovation, and the funding is provided by Ministry of Culture. So there are other programs as well, as we are building a maritime heritage center at the Lothal. So this is also one of the project to revive our culture. Then it will be having no engines. So it will use the wind power for sailing. And it won't be used for combats. Although it is owned and operated by Indian Navy, it won't be used in the combat. So these are the some basic facts. It is based on the Ajanta Caves painting. Secondly, it is under the agreement between Ministry of Culture, Indian Navy and Hodi Innovation, and the funding is by Ministry of Culture. It will not have any engine and it will sail by through the wind's power, and it won't be used in the combat, although it is owned and operated by Indian Navy. So these are some facts of INSV Kaundinya. Now let us look into the Tankai method. We have already talked about Tankai method when we were discussing the development. Let us again understand the Tankai method. First of all, it is a traditional Indian shipbuilding technique. And what are its characteristics? It is characteristics by no metal use. So there is no usage of metals in building of this ship which is under the Tankai method. So you won't find nails or other type of metal for building of this ship under Tankai method. Then the wooden planks are stitched together instead of nails, and they are stitched together by natural resins. This is the Tankai method. And in this method, the hull is stitched first, so that the front portion of the ship is stitched first, and then internal ribs are added later. So it provides great flexibility. So this is Tankai method. If there is a question which can be like, what is Tankai method related to? So this is related to traditional shipbuilding technique. Okay, now let us look into the various aspects of the Kaundinya ship. So first of all, it have a Gandabherunda. It is a two-headed eagle associated with the Kadamba dynasty. Where was the Kadamba dynasty? It was there in Karnataka. Okay, so on the ship there is this symbol. Then there is sun motif. And what for sun motif is there? It is there for representing vitality, divinity, and navigation and auspicious beginnings. Then it also have Simbayali on the bow. What is this Simbayali? Basically, there is depiction of lion to present or represent the strength. Then there is Harappan style stone, anchors on the deck. And for what these type of stones are there? They are there to provide a tribute to the Indus Valley Maritime Trade Network. So we have a rich tradition of shipbuilding. And this was all about this news. Let us discuss one PYQ from the 2021 prelims examination. And the question is, it is a very direct question and it can be solved from the NCRTs as well. And the question, which one of the following statement is correct? Ajanta Caves lies in the gorge of Vagora River. Then Sanchi Stupa lies in gorge of Chambal River. Then Pandulena Caves Shrines lies in the gorge of Narmada River. These are there in Nasik. And these are near the Bhopal. Then Amravati Stupa lies in the gorge of Godavari River. There are two methods. First, you know the correct statement. This is the correct statement. Or you know about all the three sites. That Sanchi Stupa is near to Betwa River, or the Amravati Stupa are in the gorge of Krishna River. So if you know these facts, then also you can correct the answer. But if you know the direct statement, you can correct the question. So this was the PYQ related to this news. Now let us move to the third news for today. The third news for today is related to NBFCs, non-banking financial corporation. And the development is that the RBI has initiated the review of scale-based regulation for NBFCs. In this news, we will be covering about NBFCs and we will be covering about this scale-based regulation. It is related to paper 3, which talks about economic development. Let us discuss this news. The development. Okay, so this scale-based review process was started by RBI in 2022 or by implemented in 2022 by RBI. And now they are initiating its review. They have reviewed it earlier as well, but why they are reviewing? They are reviewing because non-banking financial corporation plays a growing role in lending, and which is around 15% of GDP. So their stability is very important for the economic growth as well as economic stability of the country. Before understanding about this scale-based regulation, let us first understand about NBFCs. So these NBFCs, companies, is there in their name. So they are registered under the Companies Act of 1956 or the Companies Act of 2013. And they are under dual regulation. They are regulated by these acts as well as they are regulated by RBI. So they are primarily engaged in lending, investment in securities and leasing or hire purchase activities. But their primary functions cannot be agriculture, industrial activities, or real estate. So their primary function cannot be these three. They are involved in lending, investment in securities and well as leasing or hire purchase activities. But their primary function cannot be related to agriculture, industrial activities or the real estate. Now the question comes, how they are different from bank and why we require them? So basically they are different from bank as they cannot accept the demand deposit. Okay, so I cannot give the money to NBFC and I cannot ask the money as and when I require. There can be time deposit in the NBFCs, but there cannot be demand deposit. Please be very clear. There can be time deposit, that I am depositing money and I will take it out after a certain period of time. That is possible in NBFCs, but demand deposit is not possible. Then second difference, NBFCs do not form the part of payment and settlement. Payment and settlement means that I will sending the money and this application of that NBFC cannot be used for the settlement. Okay, and they cannot issue check drawn on itself. Bank can issue. ICCI can issue the check that I will pay this amount, but NBFCs cannot issue the check on themselves. Then the deposit in them is not covered under the facility of Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantees Corporation. So here up to 5 lakh in banks, 5 lakh up to 5 lakhs of the money is insured, but in NBFC this facility is not there. Then last, they are what for they are there? Because they provide flexibility in lending and they can support the growth in a more flexible and more sustainable way. So they are different from banks, but they support lending and the growth of the country. They are very important. And now let us understand about scale-based regulation. we have discussed in the context about the scale-based regulation. It was implemented by RBI from 2022, that we have discussed in the context itself. And it categorized NBFC into 4 distinct layers for better regulation. And the first layer is the base layer, this layer. And it has around 5% of NBFCs. And what are the NBFCs which are kept in the base layer? The NBFCs consist of assets less than 1000 crores. Those are kept in the base layers, and those are handheld by the RBI for the growth. That are the NBFCs kept in the base layer. Then there is middle layer, and it consists of all non-deposit taking NBFCs who have assets of more than 1000 crores, and also the all deposit taking NBFCs. Here the maximum NBFCs are here, and here it is around 64%. Then upper layer, it is a small set of NBFCs, but they have high risk for spillover in the economy, so they are regulated tightly. And here there are around 30% of NBFCs. Then there is top layer, and it is under extreme supervisory risk perception. So they are supervised in the extreme way, and ideally there should not be any NBFC in the top layer. And if there is some NBFC in the top layer, that will be supervised in an extreme way. So this is the scale-based regulation framework of NBFCs. We have covered about NBFCs, we have covered how they are different from banks, and this is the scale-based regulation framework of NBFCs. Now let us discuss one PYQ which is directly related to this news. And the PYQ is from the prelims examination of 2010. And the question is, with reference to the non-banking financial corporation in India, consider the following statement. Statement 1, they cannot engage in the acquisition of securities issued by the government. They can engage. Then they cannot accept demand deposit like saving account. So this we have discussed. They cannot accept demand deposit. So it is an correct statement. The first statement is wrong, as they can engage in the acquisition of securities, and the second statement is correct, as they cannot accept the demand deposit. So the answer will be B2 only. So with this we have completed the third main news for today. Now let us discuss the fourth main news. And the fourth main news is about India's Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, which have completed the 3 years. So in this news we will be learning about India and Australia economic relation and what are the key outcomes of this economic cooperation. And it is related to GS paper 2, where paper talks about bilateral agreement involving India, and also GS paper 3, which is related to economic development. Now let us deep dive into this news and understand it in detail. First of all, the development. We have already discussed the context. The development is that this economic framework and economic cooperation and trade agreement is a landmark trade pact which was signed in 2022. First of all, let us understand what is the difference between economic cooperation and trade agreement with the FTA. What is FTA and what is economic cooperation and trade agreement? So basically FTA is where you remove the tariffs on goods and in some cases on the services as well. But this economic cooperation and trade agreement is deeper than the FTAs, as it involves movement of labor, it involves investment and other factors as well. So it is higher or it provides higher flexibility than the FTAs. And after this pact, there has been tremendous growth in the bilateral trade. It has increased to 14% in 2023-24, and then it was increased by 8% in 2024-25. Now let us understand about this pact. So what are the key outcomes and key things which are there under this pact? First of all, about the trades in goods. Under this, Australia has offered the 100% duty-free access for Indian export. Australia is a developed country. It provided 100% duty-free access for Indian export. We have not provided 100% duty-free access for their export because we want to protect our industries, particularly industries like agriculture and dairy and leather. Okay, we have not provided 100% duty-free to their import to protect our industries. Then it also covered trade in services and the professional mobility, that we have also discussed that how this pact is different from FTA. So it covers trade in services and professional mobility, and it extended the post-study work visa to 2 to 4 years for Indian student and quota for work for holidays visas. Basically, you might have noticed that Indian students are going to the various countries for the studying purposes, and in the recent time, the growth of student in the Australian region has also increased. So it provides extended post-study visa for 2 to 4 years. Then it also talks about safeguard and regulatory cooperation, as there are robust rules for origin. What it means? Basically, it means that there should be enough checking that any product is not coming from the outside and then it is exported to India. Suppose China is manufacturing something, then it is exporting to Australia, and then it export to India, and that export will be having low tariff or will not be having tariff. That is the meaning of robust rules of origin, that we have to check from where that product is coming. Then it also includes the fast track of the pharmaceutical approvals of the Indian products. Then it eliminates the double taxation on Indian IT offshore income. What does this double taxation means? Suppose a IT professional is working in Australia, but he is an Indian citizen. So his source of income is there, should not be taxed in both the countries. It should be taxed in one country. That is the meaning of avoiding the double taxation. So these are some facts and key features of the India-Australia ECTA. Now let us look into the various aspects of Indian-Australia economic relation. So trade status in financial year 25, India was the Australia's 8th largest trading partner, and on the other hand, Australia was the India's 14th largest trading partner. Which was the largest trading partner of India in the year 2025? It was USA. If you read today's Hindu newspaper, there is also talk about FTA of New Zealand, India and New Zealand. So please read about that article in details as well, and why India is moving towards having free trade agreements. It should be very clear why we are doing it, what is the logic behind it. One of the reason is tariff put out by the USA, and for better supply of the various products. So there are some aspects which are given in the Hindu's newspaper of today. We have also covered the FTA of India and New Zealand. You can go that and check that as well. Then total bilateral trade in FY25 stood at the 24 billion US dollars. And the major Indian exports were petroleum products, engineering goods, drugs and pharmaceuticals. And major import from Australia were coal and gold. So these are the various aspects of India and Australia economic relation. Now let us understand about the various other convergence of India and Australia relation. First of all, about the Indo-Pacific convergence. So we see Indo-Pacific region same as the Australia. Then the Quad pillar. There are 4 countries in the Quad, that is Australia, India, Japan and USA. That is for protection of this area as well as for prosperity of this region. Then there are multilateral agreement, and both the countries are there in the G20, East Asia Summit and the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Then we have taken a supply chain resilience initiative along with the Japan. So the countries in this are India, Australia and Japan for betterment of the supply chain of the world. Okay. And lastly, we are somewhat dependent for the critical minerals such as cobalt from the Australia for the development of our renewable industry. So these are the significance of India and Australia relationship. Now let us look at the PYQ related to this news. First of all, the PYQ is from 2016 prelims examination. It is not directly related, but this question is indirectly related. The question is, the term regional comprehensive economic partnership often appear in the news in the context of affairs of the group of the countries. It is related to ASEAN. At that time, India was also part of this discussion, and Australia is also there in this regional comprehensive economic partnership. But India has left out in 2019. Then there is one mains question from 2025, and the question is, what are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? How can these challenges be met? One of the aspects is having free trade agreement and the deeper connection with the various countries. So that can be the one point in this question, and this question is from 2025 mains paper. With this, we have completed this news. Now let us move to the next news for today. And the next news is about defense, and the context is that Defense Ministry is clear weapon purchase around 79,000 crores. In this, we will be covering about these products or these purchases, and it is related to GS paper 3, internal security. Now let us discuss this news. So first of all, development. So the Defense Acquisition Council, we will be learning about this council in the next slide, has approved the purchase of military hardware. As we are seeing in various countries, when there are war, the importance of these military hardware is very important. We have seen this in Operation Sindoor, we have seen this in the various wars which are going around the world. So that's why now the military equipments are very important for having an edge over the neighboring or the countries who are fighting with you. So that's why there is purchase of military hardware of around 79,000 crore rupees. Now let us understand about Defense Acquisition Council. So it was established in year 2001 after Kargil war. It was reviewed and it was suggested to form a Defense Acquisition Council, and it was established in year 2001 after the Kargil War. Who is its chairperson? It is chaired by Union Minister of Defense. So presently, Mr. Rajnath Singh. Then, what is its objective? Basically, it serves as an apex body for strategic defense acquisition, planning and oversight, ensuring coordinated decision making across India's defense establishment. So, it is an apex body for strategic defense acquisition planning, and it covers, as it gives in principle approval for capital acquisition in long-term perspective plans for the defense. Then it monitors the progress of the major project. What are the major projects which are related to acquisition and going on in the country? It monitors those projects. Then it grants acceptance of the necessity for the acquisition proposals. So it grant acceptance for the necessity of the acquisition proposals. So proposals are sent to Defense Acquisition Council and it grant acceptance. So these are the functions of Defense Acquisition Council. Now let us learn about the various products which have been purchased. First of all, Astra Mark II air-to-air missile. But it is a indigenous beyond visual range air-to-air missile developed by DRDO. So basically it is indigenously developed and it is a air-to-air missile which have been developed by DRDO. Then long range guided rocket ammunition, which is named as Pinaka missile, that we will be learning in this quick update in the detail today. So here it is that Pinaka multiple launch rocket has been acquired. Then integrated drone detection and interdiction system MK2. It will enhance the range and capacity to target drones to protect the vital assets. You might have seen the importance of drones and the drones fighting in the recent Operation Sindoor. So these are 3 purchases, and the other purchase under this are SPICE 1000 long range guidance system. Basically it is developed by Rafael Advanced Defense System, which is a Israeli company, not the France. It is not of France. That is Rafael jet. This is Rafael Advanced Defense System. Then high altitude long range remotely piloted aircraft system. It is for maritime awareness for the Indian Ocean region. Lastly, that there is indigenous loitering munition for army. Under this, there is Kamajike drones. Kamajike drones are from Russia. They were in the news because they were used in the Russia-Ukraine war. Even India has used them in the Operation Sindoor. So these are the some purchases under this new pact. Now let us look into the PYQ related to this news. The PYQ is related to the drones, and the question is, with reference to the unmanned air vehicles, drones, consider the following statement. All type of UAVs can do vertical landing. Okay, so you might have seen drone who flies like planes, so they cannot do vertical landing. That means this statement is wrong. All type of UAVs can do automatic hovering. Hovering means surveillance over a area in a fixed position. All type of UAV cannot do automatic hovering. Then the last, all type of UAVs can use battery only as a source of power supply. They can also use petrol, diesel and other products as well. So this is also a wrong statement. So the answer for this will be D, none. This is a PYQ from this year prelims, that means 2025 prelims examination. So with this, we have completed the main news for today. Now let us discuss the personality in news for today. And the personality in news for today is Srimanta Sankardev. And the context here is that the redevelopment project of Batardeva Than, the birthplace of Mahapurush Srimanta Sankardev ji, has been inaugurated. In this news, we will be learning about his life and his contributions. So basically, he was born in Alipakhuri, which is situated in Assam. Now coming to his contribution, he pioneered the new form of Vaishnavism, which was called Eka Sarana Hari Nama Dharma. In this new form of Vaishnavism, there was belief that there is only one God, that is Lord Krishna. That is the new form of Vaishnavism which was put forward by the Sankardev ji. Then he established monastic institutions like Namagar and Satras, and later they developed as religious as well as the cultural centers. Then he also fought for the social reforms, and which include anti-caste movement as well as the women right. He does not only contributed towards religious things, he also contributed in the music, dance and other aspects as well. So basically his literary works include Kirtana Ghosa, which is a devotional verse, and it is there in Assami, which have also words of Sanskrit. That language is called Brajavali. Then his other famous work is Bhakti Pradipa, and he also contributed towards dance and music, and basically he initiated Borgeet, that is music. He initiated Satriya dance, which is there under classical dance forms. He initiated Ankiya Nat, and he also initiated Bhavana, which is a theatrical performance. So these are his contribution. He is very important for your prelims examination, as well as there can be a question about his contribution in the mains examination as well. And also know about his time frame, as UPSC is asking question about the time. And he was born in 1449 and died in 1568. You should know about his contemporary social reformers and other aspects as well. So with this, we have completed the personality in news for today. Now let us discuss the quick update for today. So the first quick update for today is related to Pinaka weapon system. We have discussed this in the earlier news as well, and the context here is that the DRDO has successfully conducted the maiden flight test of Pinaka long-range guided rockets, and the maximum range is of up to 120 kilometers, and the test was conducted in Chandipur of Odisha. In this news, we will be learning about Pinaka weapon system. So basically, it is a multi-barrel rocket launcher used for long-range artillery bombardment. Basically, army or the other defense forces use it for long-range artillery bombardment before going to that area, so that they can neutralize various threats there. And it was designed by Armament Research and Development Establishment in association with the High Energy Material Research Laboratory, which is there in Pune. So this was about Pinaka weapon system. Now let us look into the second quick update for today. The second quick update is about National Technological Readiness Assessment Framework. It is important. This development is very important, and the context here is that Principal Scientific Advisor has unveiled the National Draft Readiness Assessment Framework to standardize the innovation assessment in India. So for what it is basically there to provide a objective yardstick to measure the majority of the technological project in the lab, that how much they are ready for the utilization. It provides an objective yardstick, that if there is a technology in lab, how much it is developed and in how much long time it can be brought into the field. That is the basic aim. And the draft had been released by the principal scientific advisor. And what it will do, basically, it will enable the funding bodies to allocate resources with the greater precision, when they will be knowing that how much this technology is usable or at what stage that technology is there. So they will provide a better precision funding, and it provides a robust methodology to assess the project from proof of concept, that there is a proof of concept and how much it developed a prototype development. Prototype means a simpler process that can be followed to develop a prototype that can do a function on a smaller scale. To market operational readiness, that how much time it will take to be operated in the market. So this was about the National Technological Readiness Assessment Framework. Why it will be important? Because it will give impetus to the R&D in funds in India. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about frequency comb. So we are covering it. There is no direct context to it, but you should know about such type of scientific terms which are there in the newspapers. And what it is? Basically, it is a specialized laser that produces many colors, and with many colors, many frequencies are associated. Basically, you might have seen that basic laser which produces red colored light. So in this laser, there is release of many colors, and there's many colors are associated with the many frequencies of light that are evenly spaced like teeth of a comb. That's why frequency comb, as there are many frequencies and which are evenly placed like a comb. That's why frequency comb. And what are its key application? The key application include the calibration of atomic clock, that atomic clock can be calibrated using that. Then precision spectroscopy. What is spectroscopy? Basically, when matter come in contact with the electromagnetic radiation, then it is known as spectroscopy. And it can also measure the tiny shift in light due to the gravity by using its various frequencies. So this was about the frequency comb. Now let us look into the next quick update. Next quick update is about FIDE World Rapid Chain Championship of 2025. I think most of you might be knowing about this news, and we are covering this news because UPSC is asking these sports related questions. And the context here is that Prime Minister has congratulated Indian Grandmaster Koneru Hampi and Arjun Irigasai on clinching the bronze medal at the 2025 FIDE Rapid Chess Championship in Doha. So in this news we will be covering basic facts. First of all, what is FIDE? That is International Chess Federation, is the governing body of the sports of chess. So it is a governing body for the chess, and it is headquartered in Switzerland. Now coming to the key highlights of the recent sports event. First of all, the Grandmaster Arjun clinched his first bronze medal at the event. That is the first key highlight. Second, he is only the second Indian male player after the Grandmaster Vishwanath Anand to achieve a podium finish. So these are the key highlights from this recent sports event. Now let us discuss the next quick update. The next quick update is about Jiva program. This is related to natural farming, and you might also confuse natural farming with the organic farming. natural farming and organic farming. How is natural farming is different to organic farming? In natural farming, we try to mimic the natural ecosystem, and there are no external output, harmful output from natural farming. Then in organic farming, we use the organic inputs which are certified. That is the difference between natural farming and the organic farming. And the development here is that in Madhya Pradesh, Betul districts, farmers-led natural farming is reversing the crop loss, soil degradation and distress migration through the Jiva program. So first of all, this program is for natural farming, and it is under NABARD from 2022. That means it was launched in 2022 by the NABARD under its existing watershed and Wadi program. So this is about the Jiva program, its aim, its establishment, and how natural farming is different from the organic farming. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about index of industrial production. And the context is very important for our manufacturing GDP. The context is that India's industrial production growth has measured by the IIP surged to a 25 months high. That is the context that won't be asked in the prelims examination, but this index of industrial production is important. It is published monthly by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So it is under the Ministry of Statistics and the Program Implementation. And what its objective is that it measures the short-term changes in the volume of production, not value of production, but the volume of production by the industrial product in the economy. And it has three sectors basically. These are manufacturing, which accounts for 77% weight, then mining, that account for around 14%, and then electricity. And the base year which is used under this is 2011 and 12. So these are some facts which are related to index of industrial production. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about Mahacrime OS AI. All this time we are seeing that the criminals are moving ahead in the usage of technology. Now the government are also coming up and deterring usage of technologies by the criminals. And the context here is that a predictive artificial intelligence tool called Mahacrime OS AI, which has been built with support from the Microsoft, is assisting Maharashtra police in investigation. You can use this as an example when you are writing your mains answer. And what it is built on Microsoft Azure OpenAI solution and Microsoft Foundry. And what it is doing basically, so it is built in access to India's criminal laws through integrated AI RAG and the open source intelligence. So what does it do? Basically, it helps investigators to link cases, to go through the digital footprint of the criminals, to respond to the threat in a more effective way. So it is making our police personnel more efficient. That is the basic of this Mahacrime OS AI. Now let us discuss the last quick update, and the last quick update is about alternate wetting and drying paddy. And the context is that AWD, that is alternate wetting and drying, contribute to the enhanced water productivity while maintaining the high yield and methane emission reduction in rice production as per the study. So as the name suggests, it is a water management technique for the crop of paddy, where the water is there in one time, it is there for flooding, then we are drying that area. That's why the name alternate wetting and drying. In conventional method, all the area which is there for paddy production is flooded. That lead to methane production. That lead to over usage of water. So that's why this technology this method and the study has found out that it has not decreased the yield of rice production. So the mechanism we have already discussed. The paddy field, instead of being constantly flooded, are periodically dried out before reflooding. So this was the last quick update. With this we have completed the today's session. To read further, you can go to our digital current affairs website and please solve the question which are visible on your screen. Thank you and Happy New Year.